Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're tackling something really practical. If you're prepping for the Salesforce Agentforce Specialist exam,
Definitely.
we're diving into practice questions, and we're gonna really think about not just what the right answers are, but why they're right and why the other ones are wrong.
Absolutely.
So it's more about understanding how Agentforce works rather than just memorizing facts.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it as building that agent force intuition. And so when you hit exam day, you feel confident that you can tackle any question that comes your way.
Okay, so before we jump into those questions, let's just quickly recap the exam structure for anyone who might be new to this. 60 multiple choice and multiple select questions, 90 minutes to complete it.
Okay.
You need about a 65% to pass and no reference materials allowed.
Nope.
So it's all about what you've internalized and how you can apply it. All right, you ready for this expert speaker?
Oh, yeah, bring it on.
Okay, first up is a question about record snapshots, which are one of the tools that you can use to create dynamic prompts. So the question asks, what must an Agentforce specialist consider when using record snapshots as grounding for a prompt template? So think about it this way. A snapshot captures data at a specific point in time.
Right.
So what kinds of data might be suitable for a snapshot when you're going to use it as the basis for a dynamic prompt template?
And I think it's helpful to think about what data is maybe not a good fit. So if you have data that's going to change pretty rapidly or become irrelevant quickly, that's probably not the best fit for a snapshot. And that will
Yeah.
directly impact how effective your prompt is.
Okay, so with that in mind, here are the answer options. A, tasks and events are excluded. B, blank sections without data are removed. C, related email addresses are filtered out. Expert speaker, what's the right answer here?
The most important thing to consider here is A. So tasks and events are excluded from record snapshots. And the reason for this is because those tasks and events are constantly changing. So they're dynamic elements associated with a record, and if you included them in a snapshot, you could end up with some inconsistencies.
Yeah, that would be really confusing.
Yeah, absolutely. It would create a disconnect between the prompt's context and the actual situation at hand. Options B and C are more about making sure that the snapshot's content is optimized and that you're addressing any privacy concerns.
Okay, so the key takeaway here is that you need to be really thoughtful about what data you're putting into a record snapshot, and especially if you're going to use that snapshot as the ground for a prompt template. You really need to think about whether that data changes frequently. And if it does, it's probably best to leave it out.
Okay, question 2. An Agentforce specialist needs to examine detailed user interactions, errors, and incomplete agent actions. Which area provides this information? So where do you go in Agentforce when you want to see all of that granular detail about what's going on under the hood? Right, this is like trying to find the clues in a digital detective story.
Yeah. Okay, so here are the answer options. A, event logs. B, plan canvas. C, agent settings. Think about it for a second.
Yeah, what's going to give you that granular level of detail? So not just the settings or the overall plan, but like every click, every error message.
Every prompt trigger.
Exactly.
All right, the answer is A, event logs.
Yep. And that is your bread and butter when you're trying to troubleshoot, when you're monitoring agent performance, and you want to see how users are really interacting with your agent.
Yeah, it's like having a time machine.
Yeah, it really is. You can step back through and replay every single interaction so you can see if something went wrong exactly where it went wrong.
Okay. Question 3. A standard email prompt template used by universal containers requires customization to meet specific business needs. Which step should the Agentforce specialist take? So I know sometimes it's tempting to just dive in and start changing a standard template, but there's actually a best practice here that can save you a lot of headaches in the long run.
Yeah, treat those standard templates like a foundation, So build on top of them, but don't directly modify them.
Yeah, that's good advice. Okay, here are the answer options. A, save as new version and edit. B, clone the template and modify. C, save as new template and adjust. What do you think is the best way to do this?
So the most efficient way to do this is to clone the template and then modify that copy. Cloning gives you a duplicate of that original template, and then you can customize it to your heart's content without affecting the original.
Yeah, I learned this the hard way. A few years ago, I made what I thought was just a quick edit to a standard template, and oh boy, it created so many problems because I didn't create a copy first. So, yeah, I'm with you on the cloning, for sure.
Absolutely. It just makes everything so much cleaner. And you can easily go back to that original if you need to.
And especially if you're working with a team. Having that version control is huge, so you're not all stepping on each other's toes. What about the other options, though? What's wrong with those?
So saving as a new version, while it's definitely better than directly editing, it can still lead to some confusion down the line, especially if it's not clear which version is the most recent one.
Okay.
And then saving as a new template. Well, that's kind of like reinventing a wheel, right? You already have a template that does a lot of what you need, so why not just clone it and then tweak it to fit your specific needs?
Okay. Question 4. Universal Containers wants to run efficient and repeatable testing of multiple utterances for an agent before deployment. What should the Agentforce Specialist recommend? Imagine you're facing hundreds or even thousands of utterances that you need to test. What's the most practical way to do that?
Right, so we need a system that is going to be much more efficient than doing it one by one.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here are the options. A, test utterances individually in the agent LLM UI. B, deploy in a sandbox and review utterance analysis. C, use CSV test cases in Agentforce Testing Center. So what do you think?
So testing individually in the UI, that might work if you have like 5 or 10 utterances, but when you're getting into hundreds or even thousands, it's going to be incredibly time consuming.
Yeah, I've been there. It's not fun.
And while option B is a great way to do this in a production environment, for initial testing, it's not the most efficient.
Okay, so what's the answer?
The answer is C. Use CSV test cases in the Agentforce Testing Center. This feature lets you define all of your tests in a CSV file and then just upload it.
Okay, so that's how you kind of automate that process.
Exactly, and that just ensures a lot of consistency in your testing process.
So you're not getting tired making mistakes as you go. Okay, last question for this part of our deep dive. Universal Containers needs a custom Salesforce user interface, allowing users to input a sales order number and then invoke a prompt template displaying order details. What is the recommended solution? So we're looking for something that's going to seamlessly connect a user interface to a prompt template, allowing users to enter information and then see relevant data dynamically. So, expert speaker, what's the tool we're going to use for this?
Well, this is where Salesforce flows really shine.
Okay.
And specifically, we're talking about screen flows.
Okay.
Because screen flows allow you to capture user input so they can input that sales order number and then it can trigger that prompt template action.
Okay, so let's look at the answer options. A, auto-launched flow invoking prompt template action. B, screen flow invoking prompt template action. C, template triggered prompt flow invoking prompt template action. So which one is it going to be?
It's going to be B, screen flow invoking a prompt template action.
Okay, so why screen flow and not the other options?
So an auto-launched flow, option A, runs in the background. There's no user interaction. And C, that's triggered by the prompt template itself, not by user input.
Okay, so screen flows are kind of that sweet spot when you need to connect a user interface to a prompt template to provide that dynamic, data-driven experience.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the basics of Agentforce to some pretty advanced concepts, and I hope you've seen how powerful and versatile this platform really is.
Absolutely. Remember, it's not just about memorizing answers. It's about understanding how Agentforce works and how to use it to solve real-world business problems.
Yeah, and keep learning, Salesforce is always coming out with new features, so stay curious and keep exploring.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time for another exciting adventure in the world of Salesforce.